morning. I was thinking today, it's very interesting what the anti-American establishment is trying to do and the method in which they're trying to do it. So I'm going to use a couple examples, but first of all, think about this changing the names of football teams or stadiums or whatever. What if you play that out, what actually happens? Let's just use the Redskins for example. So this isn't the first time that they've faced pressure in regards to their name, and it's just so interesting because and I actually have a list of all the different NFL teams and their names. It's quite interesting to kind of look at what the history is and where they came from and stuff. So, but I don't have time to go through that right now. I just wanted to share this one thing with you. So first of all, let's say that the Redskins name was changed to something, I don't know whatever. What happens to the value of a Redskins helmet? Obviously it becomes incredibly valuable and it becomes a collector's piece, right? Because it's part of history. So the interesting thing about it is that what the anti-American establishment, the unconstitutional people would really want is they want to collect up all of those helmets and destroy them, because they want to participate in what is called and known as historical revisionism. They want to claim that the Holocaust didn't happen. They want to undo the wrongs of the past by simply trying to erase any evidence of the past. And it's not how it works. They want to blame the people that are doing something today for what their ancestors, for example, did in the past. Like, think, for example, if you live in the South and you have a photo that's 130 years old in your family of a KKK rally, should that photo be destroyed? Or is that photo merely a representation of history? And the reason that I say this is very interesting is because the cancel culture people, the anti-American establishment, they want to essentially use very similar practices that they're fighting against. They are fighting against or trying to change what happened in history. An example would be the way in which they're going about trying to change our culture, trying to change our society. Yet at the same time, they will argue and fight against how America was begun. And I think all of us would agree there were some tyrants and there were some offenses on America's side in the past. How do you go back and right those wrongs? By trying to undo them now? By trying to make people who weren't even alive back then pay the price for what's happened back then? By trying to erase the history books and make it as if it didn't really happen? Well, interestingly enough, isn't it a rather aggressive approach that the cancel culture anti-establishment Americans are using today to try to change what America is, what America was designed to be? I think it's rather ironic. They're using the same tactics, the same aggression, the same inappropriateness that was used almost 250 years ago to lay stake to this land that we call America, and that same competitive nature that grew America, that somehow survived America, to build it into truly the most progressive, the most helpful, the most successful country in the history of the world, not just in the world today, but in the history of the world. And it's notable to say that I believe as a result of the foundation and the framework within this country that it was based on, that it has been the most giving and the most forgiving and the most helpful. In other words, we have been the most successful if you want to put it in just financial terms, we've made the most money and we've done the most good with that power and money and influence that we've been able to amass as a result of our success. So I don't really care what they call the football team names. I don't. If it was up to me, I would not change the names. I think that there is just as much opportunity to look at the names of things and see it as an honor rather than a dishonor, or rather than something that's inappropriate or racist. Furthermore, it's a part of our history. I don't think that statues should be removed or destroyed or defaced. I think it's a complete atrocity. I think it's just a bunch of, for the most part, immature punks that are being allowed to participate in things that are just simply not appropriate and should not be done. It's the same thing for our country. This country has a framework. If you want to change the framework of the country, there is a method and a process built in to do that. Run for office, let your voice be heard, cast your vote, and do it legally. It's the same way with removing a statue. If you feel like a statue needs to be removed, then that does not mean that the statue somehow needs to be murdered or destroyed. That statue is a piece of history, and it came at great expense to someone. And when you really explore the history and you understand what the people that were standing there at the christening of that statue meant and thought, it would be a much different perspective that you may have. Finally, let me just wrap up with this. Anybody who's participating in this stuff and truly investing their life in trying to radicalize America or change America into something that it was never intended to be, I would suggest that you take the opportunity with the airlines needing to be used and buy yourself a ticket to a third world country. I've traveled all over the world. I've been to dozens of countries. I served in the military. I've seen things that would never allow me to waste my energy and my time trying to deface and destroy what is the greatest, most powerful, most positive movement in terms of a country and a society that's ever been established in this world. You need to go look around. You need to go even to your own inner cities, to your own shelters, to your own children's hospitals, and get a little bit of perspective.